Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fractal 101. My name is Alex. Thank you so much for joining me. Now that we've dialed in our amp and our cab blocks with our first clean tone, it's time to dive in to the reverb block. So as you can see, we have a medium room reverb dialed up. We have completely stock settings, and it'll sound like this. A nice little breath of fresh air there. By contrast, this is without the reverb. And with. Now this is a great thing and crucial for so many amazing guitar tones to have our reverb block dialed in. The first parameters that you should be familiar with, the mix control when we're running in series is what's controlling the amount of reverb that we hear. So if we have this at 100%, we're hearing only a reverb signal, no dry. Very far away. If we have this around 50%, we will hear that with 50% dry, 50% reverb signal. And if we bring this down to 3.6%, we have only 3.6% reverb, and we would have 96.4% dry signal. Barely audible, but dial in to taste. Every reverb is different. The level, when we're in series, is dealing with the total level of the output from this block into the next. This affects all previous blocks and their tones. So if we were to play a chord and change this level up and down, you're not hearing the reverb amount change, but the total level. That sounds like this. So when in series, leave this at unity. Our bypass mode is set to through, so that if we were to bypass our reverb block, we wouldn't lose our signal in series, and that sounds like this. But if we were to say use mute in, we would effectively mute our signal. So when running in series, it's best to set that to through. So the most important parameters within each reverb block would be the time and the size of the reverb. Our time would be how long does this reverb hang in the air. Right now we have less than a second. We can absolutely take that medium room reverb and crank it up to 24 seconds. Now that's a lot of reverb. We're going to take that back down. You could also change the size of the room that you're in. So if you wanted, say, a bigger room, it's going to take longer for the sound to hit the wall and come back. So right now we're at 30. We could change that to 70. Takes a sec, right? But if we go down to 2.7, we hear it ping pong really quickly. If we increase our time, we can hear this accentuated a bit. Really quick. We increase the size. Kind of a fun little trick. So let's bring this back down to where we had it. One thing of note, when you are using any reverb block, it takes up quite a bit of CPU in any Fractal device. When you're on the FM3, which doesn't have nearly as much as the XFX3 or even the FM9, it's good practice to take your quality down from ultra high to economy. I use this on every preset and it sounds incredible. It still sounds amazing. If you're reamping or using this in the studio and you have the CPU to spare, absolutely take that quality up. But you'll hear no complaints from me over any of the reverb qualities in economy mode. When we get into types, there's a lot of different types. We have our standard hall plate, room, and spring in small, medium, and large sizes. No supersize me, sorry. But we do have a lot of wonderful little unique treasures here in the Reverb Block. We have different, like a deluxe spring reverb from a Fender Deluxe. We have all of these different studio reverbs modeling famous reverbs from famous places like perhaps the Utility Muffin Research Kitchen, if you're a Frank Zappa fan. I know Altiverb has one, and Fractal has its own secret things. You can have a large wooded room, an ice castle, fun stuff like that. But we also have these deep space or cloud-based reverbs, which are really great for spatial effects. Very cool. If you're trying to create an ambient preset, start with a cloud reverb, and you're halfway there. Beautiful, truly. You could also just select a medium spring reverb. And get that classic rockabilly tone. Your reverb types are truly at your disposal for anything your heart could desire. Now this is all running in series, but you could also run this in parallel. Now that we've switched our routing to a parallel setting, we are running this with sort of a dry, wet mentality. Our main line running series is now completely dry, unaffected signal, and we have a little bit of a new path, which is just the reverberated signal. So we want our mix of our reverb at 100% for this, so we're only getting reverb on this side and all reverb. And then our level control is controlling the level of just that reverb. We also changed our bypass mode to mute in. There are a lot of different modes for a lot of different purposes, but if you set this to through, you're going to get a volume spike. So our tone right now is very much like it was before. If you set this to through and mute, much louder. So very important when you use things in parallel to set your bypass mode accordingly, and then use your level control to dial in your reverb. This would be 50-50, and as we dial back, we get less and less reverb mixed in with our clean, unaffected signal. Dial in to taste. That's it for the basics on our reverb block, and in our next video we will dive into the delay block. Thank you for watching this. If you enjoyed this, check out more of these Fractal 101 videos. We have tutorials of tone on the channel, gear reviews, lessons, etc. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your new reverb and your clean tone. We'll see you all in the next video.